wanted to talk about, I always begin it with, I want to talk about a couple of things. So I saw this clip on Instagram this morning. So what we're going to see is the gentleman here on our left is going to be using what they call a paw. We do something similar. We do a thing called Shakur Taps. This is similar to Shakur Taps, but it's more pawing. Shakur Taps and pawing fall under the same sort of lineage. But what happens is this is a thing I see often, that people will do it incorrectly and then think it doesn't work. Or you'll always hear another boxer say, oh, yeah, if you do that, it doesn't work. It does work. It just has to be done properly. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to show you a couple of examples. I'm going to show you an example of how and why it doesn't work. And then I'll show you some examples of how it works and then how to train it. So those are sort of three things that we're going to be looking at. So the first thing is, let's take a look, and you're going to see how, I like this lesson. So pay attention to the lesson that the coach here gives.
Careful with that pawing, all right? I'm timing your pawing. Be careful with that pawing. That could be a good tool to use, and also could be a weakness if you're not disguising. Yeah, you can't throw it at the same rate, the same speed every time. Because I timed it. We were doing this, same speed, same rhythm. You gotta switch things like that up. Again, it's good to use that, but you gotta switch up how you use it. Your greatest weapons could become your biggest downfalls if you don't know how to use it the right way.
So what I liked about that is the coach is right. So he's using the paw, and he's, but it's the same rhythm. It's the same motion. It's the same thing. You can get away with doing that. And we'll get to this as far as drilling. I like doing drills where, let's say you take a 2-minute round, you do 2 times, you do the Shakur tap. Then you move on to something else. Then you move on to something else. Then you move back to the Shakur tap. So you could do Shakur taps, then a feint, then a jab, then a double jab, then back to Shakur tap, then stir in the pot, then a post. So those are the ways in which it becomes effective. In training and in drilling, in the beginning, layer 1, do a round of just changing up the way you do your Shakur tap, where you do your tap, 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 tap. So you want to be consistent with the thing you're working on, and then also add in the ways of doing it differently. So what we're going to look at next is we're going to watch Lawrence Okolie versus Tomas Lodi. It's a terrible video of it. What I like about this is, so Okolie is trained by Barry Robinson. Well, he was for this. I hate the way this sounds. The only way that I really know how to put it. I like to think of what we do, or how the way that I teach. I like to think of it that we do Plato, and that Barry Robinson is our Aristotle. So, I'm sorry, our Socrates. Robinson's our Socrates. We are Plato to that. So this is the master. So you're going to see how these things are done the way that Okolie does them. And again, he's taught by Barry, so it's important to watch this. So I'm going to turn down the volume just because I find the announcers kind of annoying. They're talking about Okolie did really terrible in his last fight, and that's all they talk about. They miss everything that's happening. So already you could see that lead hand doing the work. He's going left, he's going right. Now, did you see that? Where I'm going to rewind that again. I want you to see those punches to the air. That's something that we do, and that's important. He throws just a nice light combination to the air, right there, and then he's got the jab going. He's got the stir in the pot. He's getting out of dodge. He's using the lead hand. And again, we won't watch the full 12 minutes, but I want you to see. Look what he's doing with the lead hand. He gives a touch, disengages, moves left, moves right, throws a couple of jabs, jab to the belly, jab upstairs, and notice those weren't killer jabs. Boom. Now he gets that, boom, gets that nice 1-2. Now look at that lead hand, doing that, occupying space, controlling distance. Notice the tap into a light post. Right there, a strong post. Now he's posting with both hands. And then goes back to something different. So you could see he is changing the things that we drill. he is changing every X amount of time. And again, I'm just going to give this another 10 seconds because I just want you to see. I just think it's a brilliant performance. I might even go a little longer than 10 seconds. It is just a brilliant performance. Nice big right hand. Again, right back to a type of stirring the pot. Notice that right hand was just a little light touch. And I'm going to shut up and just let me watch that. There was a post, then a right hand, that lead hand. Look at that. It just fantastic work. This is what we strive for. So a lot of times you'll hear from other coaches or other gyms how that stuff doesn't work. You can see here, it works. If you do it properly, it works. So what I'm going to do next is I strongly encourage you, go to YouTube, Lawrence Okolie versus Tomas Lode. Find it, watch it. You're not going to find the full fight, but you will find this clip of it. And what we're going to check out now is how do you train that? So here's a quick 22 seconds. I'm going to show it to you twice of just when you're back at the gym or when you're in your basement or when you're outside at the field, wherever you can, and you're doing a shadow box, do a round where you're working the Shakur Taps, the feints, the double movements, the foot feints, the posts, those type of things. So we're just going to check out 22 seconds of work. And again, I'll rewind as well or not. Either way, let's just watch. So I'm going to rewind that because I think it's incredibly important. So watch what Shireen will do. Shireen's going to, you can even see there's a disposition moment where she's got work and then all of a sudden she's too cool for school. Where that's a positional disposition feint where you're working and then you're like, okay, and you're sort of, it's just those types of things I'm fascinated with and they're effective. So we'll watch this again. And then right back to work. Same with Serena. You could see those two, and all of a sudden she's got a subtle Michelle Egan thing. So we have a position called the Egan, where if you've ever seen Michelle Egan box, she'll be working, all of a sudden she gets low and she stops, and it's almost like this serial killer moment. It causes everyone, I've never seen a time where it doesn't cause her opponent to stop and sort of walk off or walk away, or it buys Michelle some time. So we've incorporated that into what we do. We call it the Michelle Egan. I'm just going to rewind this, and you can see Serena will get into a Michelle Egan moment. She'll start off with really nice head movement, some feints, and then the pace slows. It changes. If you think of that Shakur tap where it's tap, 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 stir the pot, stir the pot. It's that sort of rhythmic change. I'm just going to back up. All right, so again, pay attention. So what you're going to want to do when you're doing your shadow boxing, do rounds where you're changing your disposition, where you're going from fast to slow, you're testing out your Shakur taps, you're stirring the pot right here, head movement, and then for a split second, slows right there, slows everything down, then picks it up again. Just brilliant stuff. So it's just important. Get all that work in. I'm trying to think of how to close this out. Again, I highly recommend checking out Lawrence Okolie versus Tomas Lodi and start drilling these things. Start drilling them the right way. You got to do it the right way. All right, thanks for watching.